My name is James Williams Jr. This is the final video I'm making before dark. That way everybody will go home so they can stop talking in the background while I'm trying to record, even though these damn lights are on. And no one seems to be paying attention to that big ass letter that I put out in the front. So, I want to talk to you guys about supernatural stuff. Not the show, because although that was great and awesome, I want to talk about the real McCoy. Alright? So, for those who don't know, I strongly believe that there's truth behind every myth and legend that has ever come across my path. How much truth behind it goes unsaid, I will tell you this, that we as people, there are more things beyond that of mortal man that we do not understand or that we are meant to understand. And though it makes great television, there are some things that we need to know. For sure. No one can prove that these things do or do not exist. This is why we have shows on the Destination America channel and other channels that have something to do with paranormal and supernatural activities. Now, what you choose to believe is on you. I watched a video yesterday about some lady telling a story about some other lady that, as a child, escaped the Wendigo. So first, as a person of Cherokee descent, let me break this down for y'all in a simple, basic way. Myth and legends often change tribally. If you don't know what that means, what the Iroquois tribe tells you and what the Cherokee tribe tells you may be similar but different. They could tell you the same stories that equal the same, and then you can hear that same story with a big ass twist from the Sioux or the Lakota, depending on what you want to call them, and the Apache and the Cheyenne and the Seminole. Now, why did I do that? I differentiated the tribes for the simple fact that legends and myths change tribally. Now, we got all these people going around thinking that Bigfoot, for one, is a bad guy. Well, technically, I will tell you that most Native American tribes, from my observation, will tell you that most of these supernatural creatures of myth and legend are basically spirits of vengeance for us losing the land. Alright? Now, granted, some of the tribes lost the land during stupidity by not knowing rules of certain games and getting fucked up by the alcohol. Where other tribes will tell you they lost the land through either tribal wars against each other or tribal wars against the Europeans or the French or whatever person conquered that tribe. So, for the people from Mexico down, all the way to the end of Chile, why they all speak mostly Spanish and not their native tongue of Aztec, Incan, or Mayan, or whatever tribe that the Mayans and the Incans conquered that were there too, which assimilated them into their tribes. Cortez took care of all that. And up north, from Texas all the way to the tips of where the line between Canada and New York and Montana and Seattle, Washington, and all those meet, mostly the Europeans conquered that. And for the First Nations, it was mostly the French and Europeans and whatever other third language that they speak in Canada. But if you go tribally, the Wendigo legend is more up north. The Rougarou legend is more down south. And the Yeti is universal, where Coyote the Trickster is everyone's, except for certain tribes consider him a menace. Certain tribes consider him a godsend. And the Thunderbird is a spirit of vengeance, just like the Yeti is a spirit of vengeance, just like Coyote is a spirit of vengeance. You see why I keep saying spirit of vengeance? It's because these manifestations appeared after Native Americans have lost their land. Now, you don't have to believe me. You can go fact check that shit if you want. But every myth and legend that you hear about, that especially in America, has some Native American roots. Because Europeans didn't have this stuff. They may have had werewolves and shit, but they didn't have Yetis and all this stuff. Now, as far as we know, because no one really knows throughout the history, maybe Native Americans that came out of Asia either ran off the Yetis or the Yetis taught Native Americans how to cultivate the land. No one really knows. No one really cares because, like I said at the beginning of this video, myth and legends change tribally. Now, the Wendigo is supposed to be an evil spirit. However, there are two sides to every coin, because some would tell you that the Deer Woman is supposed to be an evil spirit. But being that she's a spirit of vengeance, does being a spirit of vengeance actually make you an evil person? I don't really know as much as her legend because she's more West Coast Indians, which is more in the Dakota Plains and all that stuff. I don't think she's Apache, but every person has probably heard of her. The same thing with Eskimos, same thing with Inuit instead of Eskimos or whatever. But people fail to understand that Eskimos and Native Americans are one and the same because of the splinter. I keep bringing back that up because a lot of people scientifically don't want to say that Eskimos and Native Americans are one and the same, although they look exactly the same, that they genetically look the same, but they're internally are different. And like, there's no human beings that don't have the same thing inside them unless they've had things removed and replaced by technology. But back then, none of that shit existed. Native Americans came through Asia because they are Asian. They crossed this land bridge called the Bering Straits, and they stopped smack dead in Alaska and then splintered off into millions of other tribes, bringing traditions with them from their tribes from over the bridge. And I was pretty sure can say that one or a few of the tribes all decided to venture together. Probably was on a hunting mission. And next damn thing you know, they just decided, let's not go back. And so for 20,000 years, they've spent it exploring North America and South America, and even up into the North Pole, because there are Eskimos that live up at the North Pole. They technically go by the name Inuit because I call them Eskimos because I can't say Inuit properly. And you can get these encyclopedias and they will give you the information that you know. But how much of the information is 1,000% accurate? So, let me give you what I know from my great-grandmother Ada, who was a Cherokee Indian, from the Powhite Reservation in Richmond. Which, by the way, I can't find you. So that's kind of got me going because I googled Cherokee in Virginia and I got Iroquois. So maybe we're not Cherokee, maybe we're Iroquois. But then when I read it, Iroquois spawned Cherokee. And the only reason the Cherokee broke from the Iroquois was some kind of tiff of some sort. Don't ask, I googled it. I don't believe everything I read in Google or Wikipedia, but there's your information right there. I had to reset my computer, so it's probably not there anymore, but, you know, the knowledge of technology varies. And you can find something in one site that won't tell you in another site. And I say this because many years ago, in my first attempt at college, I lost the bet about Native Americans being Asian, which also explained a lot of why my great-grandmother and her daughter had slightly slanted eyes. More slanted than mine, so it also explains why people think that I am Mexican or Polynesian. Alright. So, myth and legends change tribally. The sooner you learn this, the sooner you will understand how things work. To some, the Thunderbird is a great spirit of vengeance that swooped down and took the children of the Europeans for taking the land, murder, killing, plundering the Native American woman. Alright? The Deer Woman story is very much similar about a woman who was brutally raped by a European, and I guess they left her for dead, and somehow or another she magically got the hoofs of a deer and lured men to their deaths, stomping them to death with her hoofs. Now, I don't know if she's a shapeshifter, but I'm pretty sure Thunderbird and Coyote are shapeshifters. And most Native American folklore, most of their allies and spirits of vengeance are shapeshifters. Yes, again, they change tribally. So let me finish with this. If there's truth behind every myth and legend, from no matter what continent of the earth, not just Native Americans, but European legends, other Asian legends, and Black or African legends, how do we know what's real and what's not? In our quest for knowledge, will we ever discover them? And if we do, are we willing to deal with the consequences that it may bring? I'm James Williams Jr. And before I go, if we found Bigfoot, are we going to try to make peace with them? Are we going to tag them? Are we going to study them? Are we going to capture them? And lock them in a cell to see how they deal in their environment like we do with zoos? Is that going to cause us to go to war? with that tribe of people. We never know. We don't know if they're technically advanced or not. But we do know that they know how to get the hell out of sight when spotted. Let's say the same thing. If Thunderbird still exists, and he probably does, what will we do with the thing that turns into a giant bird that can crush you, or swoop down and throw you for a few miles? What do we do with Coyote the Trickster? What do we do with the Deer Woman? Besides not fall in love and follow sexy ladies into the bushes to have sex with them just so that you can get killed? What do we do about the polar bear guide for the Eskimos? Yeah, I'm sure you guys didn't see that. I wrote about it in my graphic novel. Still looking for a publisher. But anyway, I'm going to close on this note. There is truth behind every myth and legend. Maybe over-exaggerated, maybe hyped up, but that doesn't make it any less true. I'm James Williams Jr., Scumbag number 2. This is 11 minutes of your life that you just can't get back. Be seeing ya.